Welcome, fight fans, to episode 102 of the Hooks In MMA podcast. We're back this week with UFC 310, Pantoja, Asakura, one of the best pay-per-views to end the year, and the last one for 2024. So we're going to be getting ahead of that book, meeting you guys at the cashier at 2 a.m. tomorrow morning. And before we get into our best bets, Zoni's going to kick things off with some Bilal Muhammad insights. Zoni, over to you.
Yeah, so everybody knows that Bilal was supposed to fight Shavkat on this card here, and it just came out the other day. Bilal had said, or he did say, somebody else reported that he had the foot infection. He was willing to do an amputation in order to fight on the card. So a lot of people do chirp Bilal for his fight style. Um, Obviously, it's not the most exciting. He has been on a roll, and he is a fantastic MMA fighter, but. Um, I don't know, a little bit more respect for me on that level, if that's true. Um, you know, I mean, I don't know what kind of amputation, if it was just a toe or what it was supposed to be, but I read that and found it to be pretty interesting, and like that it was even a consideration was kind of cool. So even though we don't get to see him here, likely he'll probably maybe fight the winner. Definitely if it's a finish, he'll fight the winner, and either or should be a good match against Bilal. But excited for that co-main tonight.
Could have been a finish via head kick, via peg leg, uh, or an eye poke DQ via peg leg.
A leg
Yeah,
poke.
A leg poke. Well, we're gonna have, I don't want to ruin it, but there's some funny finishes we saw doing some research, so we'll talk a bit about that. But yeah, we're gonna start with easy lines. We're gonna go all the way back to the prelims because if you guys haven't seen, it's a pretty stacked card. A lot of OGs from UFC fighting tonight, some really good gatekeeper versus young prospect matchup. So yeah, why don't we kick things off right at the start of the card here with Brzeski and Nchekwu. Zoni, I know you like this matchup. What do you think about this one?
yeah, I do. Like Kennedy had moved up to heavyweight. Like he's a big dude, and his reach is crazy. He comes in as a southpaw. He fought Chris Barnett recently, and that was in the last month and a half. And obviously, Chris Barnett unfortunately had an injury during the fight. It like happened very quickly within the first round. He's always an exciting fighter to see, but just so compromised by his reach and his size. Kennedy brings, a ton of length and a ton of different weapons with his hands, and his legs. And he's a massive favorite in this. I can't wait for that fight to kick off the card. I really think moving up to heavyweight with his athleticism is going to bring a different kind of animal at that weight class. And I think he runs through Bresky today. I wouldn't be surprised if it's also a first round finish. So looking forward for that fight to kick it off. But I got Kennedy winning that pretty easily.
Cool. So yeah, if you guys are wanting some action, probably not the best money line value, but round one finish, like Zoni said, 3-1 odds could be a nice one to kick off the card here. All right, getting into Clay Guida, Chase Hooper, your classic veteran guy who's been around the block versus a young up and comer who does take some heat from the media, both due to his, I guess, just baby face and just awkwardness. But who you guys thinking in this?
Yeah, for this one, Chase Hooper, he's a minus 1200. So obviously no value there. Absolutely not. But I do think he's going to be able to finish Clay Guida. Guida obviously very huge veteran and a seasoned veteran in the game. Hooper's going to be faster. He's going to touch him up a little bit on the feet. Guida's going to go for a takedown, I think, at some point. Result just based on instinct, I think, at one point. And Hooper's going to get the submission. Now it's only minus 163, so clearly the odds makers know this and agree with kind of that game plan there. See it the same way, but I do see it going or minus 163. I think that's good to parlay with a few other things that we're going to talk about later on. Also, Chase Hooper round two finish plus 275, round three finish plus 450. If you like one of those, I think that's good to take because I do think Guida is going to be able to last at least one full round with them. So, but what are you guys thinking?
Yeah, last fight Hooper looked as best as he's ever been. He's obviously he's kind of come into his own. However, throughout his UFC career, he's shown so much promise, and then he'll have a setback. I'm not saying that's going to happen tonight, but I wouldn't mind if you guys told me what Clay Guida is by decision, just in case he doesn't get the finish, because I know he'll be hunting for those takedowns. And
15
if
to
he,
1 and then
yeah,
34 to 1 via knockout.
so I'll be
I
putting a couple units on a decision from Clay Guida just based on what his style is and maybe avoiding that submission, but just controlling and winning kind of an ugly, maybe a split decision, grind it out, Clay Guida type fight. I don't think it's impossible. Obviously, the odds say it should be, but I don't know. I'm kind of early on in the fight card. I wouldn't mind risking a couple of units on that.
Yeah. Yeah, the value is just not there, obviously, money line. Even I don't like less than 2 to 1 odds on a like a sub. So I'm gonna go slightly different. I'm gonna go Hooper by KO, 8 to 1 odds. I think he
That,
could get a club and sub, or not a club and sub, just like a get him to the
yeah.
ground and pound him or something like that.
and his
Uh
stand-up looked great last fight. So
yes, plus his reach and height advantage, I think will help his striking, and he might just be able to catch Guida because he does those little blitz kind of rush
no, it's a
uh
good point. It's a good point.
attacks and just like a little hook or undercut counter or even like a head kick or something like that. Eight to
Could
one
see that.
odds for a massive favorite. That's kind of juicy. So
Yeah, it's juicy.
let's
Yeah.
yeah, go a couple half units on some of those long shots and see if they hit. You never know, right? Puncher's chance. Who else do you guys want to cover here on the prelims before we head into the I guess main prelim there, which is the Luque fight? Any catch your eye?
Yeah, I
Um,
like Chiesa as well for this win as a slight favorite there. I think he's going to be able to potentially get a submission himself again as well in this fight, or be a decision win. So I can't really choose it either way, but I do like Chiesa as a minus 130, 138 favorite against Max Griffin, who is very good on the feet, but not as much on the ground, right? So I do like Chiesa for that one as well. Just as a lean there, solid lean. I do like that.
Sony, any
yeah,
thoughts on that one? Oh. Yeah, I agree with you there, Z. I do like Chiesa. He's just got a better strength of schedule. You look through his like last, 5 fights and Ferguson, Kevin Holland, Sean Brady, Luque, Neil Magny, like those are some, I would say, top of the welterweight type matches. And yeah, it's almost a pick 'em odds here. So I think that is a nice, you could do a standalone bet, just pure money line, or even throw it into a parlay. Could be some nice multiplier. Um, cool. So heading back into prelims. Any other ones you wanted to touch on before the Luque fight?
Weidman I do like as well as again it's a pick'em fight, but Weidman looked very good in his last fight as without those eye pokes. So obviously everyone remembers the eye pokes
Yeah.
really bad, but his 1-2 looks good, his jab looks good. Everyone kind of remembers that the breaking of the leg as well. Obviously
Yeah.
not pretty, but he's been performing fairly well, just going up against tough guys. But I don't think Eric Anders is going to be enough here. I think Weidman gets the win in decision. Decision is a plus 187 right now. So I like that value there.
Yeah. Likewise, I think he gets his hand raised. Sony, anything on Anders Weidman?
no, that's okay. I'm good with that one.
Good stuff. Let's breeze on in. Yeah, I mean, geez, a lot of these fights could be on the main card quite easily.
Yeah.
Any other, like, do you want to touch Randy Brown or Aljamain?
Yeah. I mean, Sterling is underrated here. Everyone know I didn't like, don't like, not necessarily a huge fan of Sterling. Didn't like the way he acted after his belt win, but or directly afterwards. But he defended it a few times, had some great fights. He's proven he's very well. He's just talented. So I do think it's a nice value. I'm not calling it a win for sure by any means, but Sterling at plus 225, I think is nice value. him by decision plus 375, maybe something to look at. Submission plus 1200. Maybe a long shot there, but either way, I do like Sterling at that value.
How about you, Zoni? Human
Yeah,
backpack?
I'm good with him there with Sterling as well with that value. It's hard to go against that former champion. No, he moved up to 145, but I like that value as well. I might have got cut off, but I did like Randy Rude Boy Brown as
Hmm,
well to get the underdog victory at plus 162
nice,
against
nice.
Brian Battle. So
That'll be a good fight.
excited for that fight. Yeah, that's a good
Yeah.
fight.
I could see that one going either way, but that one I think regardless who wins will be exciting
Could
and
be a banger.
high energy. Yeah, I agree. Z's like Sterling. You know what? Here's what I'll call. This is going to be more prop bet. I don't see this one really finishing early. I think it does go to decision. You look at Evilev's all his fights go the distance, and Aljamain for the most part as well, other than the O'Malley. Um, did have that Dillashaw finish, but Dillashaw was hurt. So I'm liking there's a boost on there. Aljamain on the over 1.5 rounds for plus 325.
I
It's
like that.
just in case he does get his back and taps him or something like that, it kind of covers you there if it's on the second half of the fight.
The
So
human backpack.
yeah, the human backpack factor. Which is crazy to see him on like a prelim. I don't know. I'm still kind of
He
shocked.
wasn't he wasn't happy about that.
No,
Yeah.
not at all. Okay, so let's go into then. So I guess it's both Lionheart, Anthony Smith, and Reyes and Luque Grimbo as the two kind of showcase prelim fights. Let's pop into Luque. I know I've talked about him on earlier episodes. Used to be my favorite fighter in the UFC. Let's call it 3 to 5 years ago. He's been on a bit of a slide, just getting crushed. Obviously, he just takes so many shots, and he's had some injuries. So, yeah, what do you guys think happens here? It's almost a coin flip pick'em fight. Who are you taking?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I don't go ahead. Go ahead, Zone.
No, just I love the story of Garimbo. Just I don't know. I know we talked about previous injuries for Luque. So who really knows what he's bringing to the table? But like in terms of experience and like Garimbo's fought nobody compared to Luque.
Right.
So I don't know. The value there is with Luque with me. I could see him bouncing back. If he loses this one though,
Yeah.
he's really out the door. Um, so he's fighting for everything. So I'm gonna go with Luque just as a slight underdog upset pick.
Okay. Z's?
Yeah, I don't know Garimbo's so well, so I can't really take too much or like say for sure anything on this one. But I will say for me personally, Luque is a big risk because of that the head injuries, brain bleed, or whatever he had. So it's uh it's hard for me to put any money on him at this point, or even get involved in the fight in terms of betting on it because that seems to be like a unpredictable factor. But
Mhm.
yeah, what are you thinking?
Yeah, I agree. This one's I'm going back and forth in my head. I could see Luque getting a crazy sub like he's done in the past. The strength of schedule definitely favors him, but he's just looked compromised. It's kind of crazy to think he's only 33. Feels like he's like our age
40.
or late. Yeah, like he's been around forever and he's fought the who's who's. So I do like him. I have that personal bias. I cheer for him. I do hope he wins, but I could see him getting slapped in the first round as well and just getting, I guess, could be cutting loose of the UFC after this fight. So I might just stay away from it altogether. Maybe Garimbo 7-1 odds by KO seems legit and high probability at those odds. So maybe just throwing on something like that, but probably staying away from money line on either side. Um, cool. So let's get into the Lionheart Reyes fight, which again is two vets going at it. Both have been on a bit of a slide, especially Reyes. Who you guys thinking in this one here?
Yeah, I like Reyes for to finish at minus 138 by KO or TKO. I just see Anthony Smith, unfortunately, just on his way down. Probably going to be one of his last fights. Whereas Reyes still pretty good, still pretty talented. He's just had some really kind of tough opponents, but I think he's going to prove he's well and above beyond Smith at this point. Reyes, though, money line minus 400, nothing really there. So I think by KO or TKO minus 138, or if you want to go round two plus 325, round three plus 500. Yeah, what do you think, Zone?
I don't know. I'm conflicted on this one. Like, it's a huge gap in terms of value. Like Smith, I forget the win that he had, but he was like a massive underdog and found a way to pull it out. Um, I could
Oh,
see it
Petrino,
happening. Yeah, Victor Petrino or Vitor Petrino
he was losing the whole fight, and
losing the
then
whole fight and
yeah,
pulled off, I think, a submission or something
yeah,
or
guillotine. So
guillotine. Like, I don't know. You can't count the guy out. He's got a lion heart, but I just I don't know. I'm more so like kind of staying away from it.
yeah. I think that's the same as me. If anything, maybe the over 1.5. I could see these guys just starting slow, kind of just, I don't
Yeah.
know, pity patty in the first round or two. So yeah, 1.62 for over, 7.5 minutes. I think that could hit. I could see this going to decision and actually this being more one of the more boring fights of the night. I don't know. I just, yeah, not all that excited for this one, to be honest, but that's okay. They're two kind of more known fighters, so that's it. Let's slide on into the main card here. So we've got the Korean Superboy versus Nate Landwehr. Yeah, who you guys feeling in this one?
I got nothing for this one, Zone. You take it.
Superboy won his last fight, right?
He did, Bill Ajeo.
Um, he did look good in that, and then another guy that's had a ton of hype, and he hasn't really lived up to it. But that was a good win that he had. Landwehr's like your typical like American like inbred. He kind of acts like he just is so like one of those like true like American. I don't even know how to describe him. He's hilarious though, and he brings a fight. I don't know, but this could be actually be like a war, like one of those like. Is this the one kicking off the main card?
It is, yep.
Yeah, it was smart for them to do that. Something crazy is going to happen. I'm not going to give. What's over 2.5 in this?
It's 2.25. It's yeah,
I might lean
juiced.
towards that or like
Yep.
this. I could see this being like 15 minutes of war. So I'm gonna that's where I'm gonna go. Not leaning towards someone specific, but
I
it
like
could
that.
actually get pretty wild. Like a lot of blood I could see coming from Landwehr's face. Yeah, it could. I think this could be potential for fight of the night. That's what I'm gonna say. But in terms of
Yeah.
betting, I'll go with the over 2.5, just as kind of the value that you
If
said.
if I'm not mistaken, the Ige fight of his 2 fights ago, that was a bit of a war stand-up battle, and he's tough, man.
He's
Landwehr's
tough.
really tough. So I like that over, especially with that juiced odds. And maybe they put him on here because he's like Mitchell's like inbred brother or something like
It
that. I
could
don't know.
be like coming out before the inbred himself comes out.
Yeah. But hey, it'll be funny to see him post-fight interview if he does get his hand raised. And
Oh, hilarious.
yeah, could have some pretty funny call outs or something like that. So yeah, 4.3 for him via decision, but I do like that over Zoni. Or even just straight fight to go to the distance. 2.65 is
Yeah,
pretty good odds, I think.
that's where I'm leading.
Right on. Well, let's head on into the aforementioned Bryce Thug Nasty Mitchell versus Kron Gracie fighting out of Diaz's camp.
Yeah, so for this one, it's interesting matchup because the UFC are basically just giving Bryce someone that has no threat on the feet after his kind of scary KO loss against Josh Emmett. But if Crone were to fight Josh Emmett, Emmett would knock his head into the nosebleeds, I'm pretty sure. So
Yeah,
I do. It's going to be an easy win for Bryce Mitchell. That's the reason why he's a minus 1,000, which is just crazy in terms of value. Like you can't take that. But I am looking at him for decision minus 175. That's good to parlay with like two leg parlays. I think that's good with some other things we said earlier. And also, who knows, maybe KO, TKO. I could see that happening potentially as well at plus 550. Good value there. because Bryce is pretty decent on the feet. It's just, how's he going to react after that kind of scary KO loss I mentioned is going to be the question. But yeah, interesting matchup that they both kind of cancel out each other's grappling. But yeah, what do you think in zone?
I'm with you. I'm leaning towards Bryce by decision.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's right. I don't know. That the knockout prop doesn't really do anything for me on either side. Maybe Mitchell by knockout, maybe by sub, 6 to 1 odds. But against the jiu-jitsu master, like I guess you got to think Crone Gracie's defense for subs has to be world class, right? So yeah, I think the decision one is the best one. It's not paying great. Even if you look at the overs, it pays nothing. So I might just
What's Gracie by sub?
Gracie's 19 to 17 to 1 by sub. That could be really good value.
I don't
Yeah.
know. Like the matchup is so widespread in terms of what should happen. Same with the money line. It kind something kind of tells me it could happen. Like I don't know if I'll be putting any on it at this fight at all. Maybe on decision, like we
Yeah.
said. But
It's just weird. Like,
it's
It's a
weird. It's
weird
a
one.
weird,
because
Yeah.
Gracie
weird one.
Gracie has only fought twice in like the last couple, whatever, 2 years or something, and they were both losses. Now
Yeah,
he's
you didn't
fighting
look
and
good.
now he's fighting the top 15 ranked guy. Like it doesn't make
Doesn't make
He's
sense.
had
sense.
one
Yeah.
fight in 5 years because his 2 fights ago was over 5 years ago now. That's
And,
nuts.
and because he's in the Diaz camp, he tries to
Yeah.
like emulate their style and
Yep.
does like this like kind of he tries to like box like they do, but it doesn't work for him. So because he's
Yep.
just
No,
not
it
like
doesn't.
that, so it's like weird. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. This should have been on prelims in my opinion, but it's because Mitchell has that crazy personality and like conspiracies thinking Elon Musk is taking over the
Yeah.
world. He's just kind of like scripted to get that interview, I feel. I
Yeah.
don't know.
The world's flat.
Yeah.
Literally anything that's the truth or anything that like a textbook would say, he immediately just says the opposite
Yeah.
of whatever that says. Like so
Yeah.
it doesn't matter what it is, he's just that's no, it's the
And
other
he's
way.
built a following. So like, hey,
Yeah.
he's a good kind of, I guess, troll you'd call him or marketer. I don't know, but yeah, this one's a weird one all around. Okay, so let's head into these next three are unbelievable in my opinion. We've got about 6 minutes. So let's jump into the Gon Volkov fight, which, man, I think it's a great matchup. What are you guys thinking here?
Yeah, quickly for me, Gon, I think, is one of the best heavyweight strikers of all time. Technically, at least at the very least, for sure. Only had problems with John Jones, but that was never on the feet or never on the feet, basically, right? So I think he does well against Volkov. Volkov is kind of like slow a little bit, kind of sticks there in one position, doesn't move too much. So I think Gon will be able to work with that, get a decision win. Minus 125 is interesting. KO or TKO plus 450. That's also interesting to me. But no value again on that minus 350 money line for him. But yeah, what are you guys thinking there?
Volkov's been on a roll, and I like the guy a lot. But like you said, he when you're fighting Gon, he moves so much that this being a stationary fighter is a really bad matchup. It's not
Yeah,
like he's going to be going to take down Gon, so I think it's just a bad matchup for Volkov.
yeah.
I like what you said, and I think Gon needs to prove a little bit of something here. I don't think like typically he's fought. They're almost like sparring matches the way he fights. So smart. He moves in and out. He has had some decent knockouts, but like lately. Um, he hasn't looked to really put people away. What are his last two wins? It would have been one of them would have been
Who, Volkov, Pavlovich,
sorry,
and
no,
Tuivasa?
sorry, gone
Spivak and Tuivasa.
to Ivasa. So he finished that one.
Yeah.
The Spivak one, did he finish?
Yep.
Round
First
two.
round two KO. Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm leaning towards I think what you said, Kron's by finish the TKO or KO for Gon. I think he needs to start putting people away, and he
Yeah.
has through the last three fights. So.
Yeah, I think you're right. He either finishes this one like fairly quickly, he's way more aggressive than he normally is, or he just kind of does that technical striking Z mentioned and beats him basically unanimous 30
Because when they
27.
fought before, what was the result again?
The one by decision or gone one by decision.
Yeah,
Decision. So maybe he's
Yeah.
looking to put him away this time just to,
yeah.
I don't know. That's where I'm leaning.
Yeah, I don't see Volkov winning altogether. I think it's one of those two outcomes. It's KO, which is 5.5 to 1, or it's by decision for Gone 1.8. I'll probably just put a little bit on each.
Volkov
Um,
has been really good. It's just I think it's a bad matchup
it
for him.
is. It is. He's been beating
Yeah.
guys that are slow, like heavyweight kind of knockout specialists,
Yeah.
and Gone is kind of that like footworky, just striker. He just kind of picks you apart. And he's much less in weight too, so he's going to have that speed advantage, right?
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
yeah,
He
just a
went he
bad
went
matchup.
5 rounds. He went 5 rounds with Nagano and didn't get knocked out. He lost by
That's right.
decision to Nagano. Gon did, right? So I mean, I trust him to
Yeah.
finish this, to
It's
win
that
this fight
footwork.
against Volkov. Yeah.
Okay, so we got 2 minutes left. We've got the battle of the undefeated. Shavkat Rakhmonov, one of Zoni's favorites, versus Ian Machado Gary. Who do you guys got?
So yeah, very quickly, they both fought very similar opponents. Defeated both Jeff Neal, Neil Magny. Shavkat had better performances though. Shavkat defeated Wonder Boy. Ian defeated MVP, who are both similar opponents in style as well. Shavkat had the finishes and better performances. Doesn't mean he's automatically going to win this fight though. Styles make fights. Ian Gary has the style to make this a very difficult fight for Shavkat. Ian, one of the better boxers of the two, technically, he has better head movement, much better responsibly defensively. Shavkat sometimes doesn't even really block punches. He just eats them and keeps moving forward. But I don't know he'll be able to do that against Ian as much. Ian, better footwork, always keeps his hand up, can fight in both stances. So I think he has the advantage in the stand up. Much better fundamentals in boxing. That being said, Shavkat has better kicks, one of the best spinning back kicks in the league. Shavkat is also much better grappler, gets his opponents down, beats them up. Can he get Ian to the ground though? He's taken down all of his opponents previously and has a lethal submission artist there. I can see Ian Gary moving in and out very quickly, using quick 1-2s, front kicks, leg kicks. Shavkat moving forward, landing his own jabs and straight punches. I think Ian will be able to land on Shavkat fairly successfully. Jeff Neal was landing on Shavkat, but he has more power. Ian's accuracy is some of the best in the division. Then Shavkat's shooting, getting on the ground after that. I'm predicting a third round submission for Shavkat. Him is at minus 350 is juiced. The public hates Ian Gary because he shouldn't be a plus 25, 275 for this fight. That's where some actual value lies, I believe. But I'll be taking Shavkat submission plus 187, third round sub at plus 1,000.
Yep, let's go Shavkat. He's going to get the dub. I like the boost under 2.5 rounds, 2.6. We got 30 seconds here for the main. Zoni, do you want to start with Pantoja Asakura?
Pantoja by sub. That's where I'm going.
Love it. Z's?
Yeah, I think Pantoja submission victory, third or fourth round. So anytime plus 162, third round finish plus 1,000, fourth round plus 1,400.
Yep, I think he gets it done. Main reason why no soccer kick finishes allowed. This is not risen, and we'll see you at the cashier.